Hi, my name's Michelle, and I've taught middle school age students for over 30 years in the Salt Lake City schools, and I'm happy to be with you today to talk about something as important as water. We all know water is a precious resource when we stop to think about it. We couldn't live long without it, obviously. We want today's activities to make you think about your actions as they relate to this precious resource, not just today, but every day. So today we're going to build a watershed, but first we need to know, what is a watershed? A watershed is something every single person on our earth lives in a watershed. The word almost defines itself. We all know the term water. Shed refers to how the water flows as it reacts to gravity and topography. So a watershed is an area of land where all of the water drains off of it and goes to the lowest point, like a river, lake, or stream. If we lived along the coast, that place would be an ocean, but here along the Wasatch Front, our watershed is the Jordan River watershed. All of the tributaries lead to the Provo River, Utah Lake, the Jordan River, and the lowest point, the final destination, is the Great Salt Lake. This watershed is a 51-mile long watershed. What falls into the watershed? Well, stormwater does. So we need to know what stormwater is. Stormwater is some of our fresh water that originates from rain, hail, sleet, or snowmelt. Once it hits the ground, it's referred to as stormwater. Stormwater either sinks into permeable surfaces, like our lawns, gardens, or other ground surfaces that absorb water. That's a good thing because that helps slow the water down and it helps filter it and purify it again. Or it might land on impermeable surfaces like our streets, sidewalks, rooftops, parking lots, and roadways. Those surfaces are impermeable and the water runs off, oftentimes with a lot of force, dragging whatever is in its way straight to our gutters and into our storm drains that go straight to our rivers and so forth. And that water is untreated. So what about this fresh water? We need to know kind of just what a precious resource it is. So let's just have a tiny review of what is the water cycle, because it's miraculous. The water cycle is the Earth's amazing process of turning salt water into fresh water that we can use to sustain our lives. It's the continuous movement of water in and around our planet and atmosphere. Powered by the sun, water evaporates to form vapor, which condenses into clouds and then precipitates back into the earth, onto the earth, in the form of rain or snow. Thankfully, this wonderful fresh water falls right into our watersheds. Well, you're probably thinking, we have so much water. We're the blue planet, right? There's so much, but don't forget, most of that water is salt water that we can't drink or use to water our crops and animals. So to hopefully make you care that much more about today's activities, we need to understand how much of the Earth's water is fresh to begin with that falls into our watersheds. It's hard to think about all that water, but let's think of 100% of it as a $100 bill. That's all the water on our Earth. But we can't drink or use ocean water. So how much of the Earth's surface is just fresh water? Well, I know you're seated, but grab onto your desks, because when I learned this fact, it forever changed how I use and treat this precious resource. No joke. Only 1% of all the Earth's water is fresh water, and not all of that is currently flowing right into our watersheds, because some of it is in that continuous cycle, the water cycle, where some is caught in a cloud or on the way up to being a cloud or is frozen in solid ice. So only 1/3 of 1%, or 33 cents out of that $100 bill, is fresh liquid water that has to fall into all of the Earth's watersheds for everyone to drink, water their crops and animals, as well as to recreate on, like swimming, fishing, boating on our lakes, rivers, and streams. So let's get busy making our watershed models, all while thinking about what actions we take to protect this precious freshwater resource every day. Because don't forget, Droplet will tell you, we all live downstream, right? So we have some materials. You should have a file folder, a piece of type paper, about 5 markers, some tape and a water bottle. Your teacher probably has the water bottle. I'm going to angle my camera down now. So as we make the watershed, it'll feel like a cooking show where I do some of the demonstration. You're going to open this up. You can work with me. Oops, I have two in here. You don't need two. Just one file folder, one person on your team, just start folding up the edges, and you don't need to measure it. Just do like so all the way around. And one person needs to take the paper, and we're going to start creating a topographical map by just smashing the paper we're munching it and creasing those edges. Don't make it too tight, because then when you go to open it, it might rip. So we're going to use our imaginations to envision a beautiful mountain chain as we relearn the terminology that we just learned about the watershed. Okay, I'm moving ahead now. This is how, I've already done that one, sorry. Now you're gonna take your blue marker and say, I'm just a little farther along in the process. So that one munched wrinkle paper, you're going to kind of just lay it out. See how my little tray looks like a cookie tray. All four sides are folded up. And then all I've done is added a smidge of tape to hold the shape. So while you're coloring the edges, the high mountain edges with your marker, I'll just remind you that this is a watershed. And we said that the watershed is affected by how, when the fresh water hits, how gravity and topography affects it. So you can kind of look at my model and we can kind of forecast when water comes down, some will fall this direction on the ridge and this way. Some might get caught in the topography over here and form a little mountain lake. In this one giant watershed, there's actually going to be several other little watersheds. So this is what you're shooting for. I know we're moving kind of fast, but you'll get caught up, and if not, you can finish it later. Do not wet yours yet. While you're still coloring, I'm going to show you what happens to see if we predicted correctly. I'm spraying it. Now this is our stormwater, right? Precipitation, the fresh water falling out of the sky. And sure enough, it's starting to run just like we predicted. And you can see where there are lakes forming, possibly streams down this ridge of the mountains. It's forming in a different way. So all of these little areas have fresh water. But today we said that we wanted to see how our human activity affects the watershed. I don't see me in there. I don't see you in there. So that's why I don't want you to wet yours yet, because we need to think about what's a little bit farther downstream, because we all live downstream. Farther down, this looks like it might be our Wasatch Mountain Range. So here you can see I've added some houses. I've made them red with the red marker because we have toxins and poisons in our house and in our garages, paint and so forth, that we don't want to get it into our water or down the drains. We have to have farming because we have fertilizers and things that we need to put on crops. Over here, I have some brown that you'll want to add. It's logs or dirt. We have to cut down trees to grow our to not grow our houses, to build our houses. Or maybe there was a forest fire that left the earth bare, and that might affect and get into our water. Any human activity, like people who are boating along there or mountain climbing. On the back side of these mountains, we have some skiers. Over here, you can really laugh at my mountain bikes. We have some mountain bikers. So all those colors are representative of some of the human activity in our urban watershed. Remember, many of these surfaces are not permeable. They're impermeable. When they get wet and the stormwater starts running, they can drag all kinds of toxins, seen and unseen, right along with everything. So I'm going to spray this, and we're going to see just how different it might look. So all of the activities today should be reminding you that we all live downstream. So we need to make sure that the only things going into our gutters and our storm drains is water and nothing else, because that water doesn't get treated. Here, see on the back side in this area, This is where I'd want to get my drinking water. Do you see how it's all still blue? Whereas our urban areas, we have to be careful so that we don't damage wildlife and so forth the best we can. So when you're on your mountain bike, stay on trails so you don't crush up the dirt more and get it into the watershed. Pick up trash, get the things out of there, so that we're not getting things down into our watershed areas, our rivers, lakes, and streams. Because again, remember why? We all live downstream. I hope you like the activity. You can always take a little longer to finish it on your own time. I'm going to turn the time over now to Hannah Murphy. She's up next, and thank you so much for letting me join you today.